The massive alien ship appeared at the edge of human space, like a silver mountain floating in the darkness. It was 3 times larger than anything humans had ever built, its surface covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift and move in the starlight. The ship had been waiting there for 2 days, sending the same message over and over again. We are the Velkan Confederacy. We come in peace. We wish to speak with your leaders. Captain Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching the alien vessel on his main screen. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and graying hair at his temples. 20 years of military service had taught him to stay calm in strange situations. But this was different. This was first contact with an alien race. "Sir, we're getting another transmission from the alien ship," said Communications Officer Young-soo from his station. The young man's fingers moved quickly over his controls. "Put it through," Do-hyun replied. A new voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect English but with an odd musical quality. "Human vessel, this is Primary Investigator Veltar of the exploration ship Infinite Wisdom. We have studied your broadcasts for many cycles. We request permission to meet with your diplomatic representatives." Do-hyun looked at the woman standing beside him. Ambassador Ki-young was small and elegant, wearing the dark blue uniform of the diplomatic corps. She had been chosen for this moment because of her skill with languages and her calm nature. "What do you think?" Do-hyun asked her quietly. Ki-young studied the data on her tablet. "Their language skills are impressive. They've been watching us for a long time. That could be good or bad." Admiral Tae-min's face appeared on the secondary screen. The fleet commander was calling from Earth, his expression serious. "Captain, you have permission to allow the aliens aboard for inspection. Follow Protocol 7. Show them our strength, but keep them away from the classified sections." "Understood, Admiral," Do-hyun replied. He turned to Young-soo. "Open a channel to the alien ship." The bridge fell silent as Do-hyun stepped forward. "Primary Investigator Veltar, this is Captain Do-hyun of the United Earthship Indomitable. We welcome you in the spirit of peace. You may send a small team to our ship for diplomatic talks." There was a pause before Veltar replied. "We are grateful for your welcome, Captain Do-hyun. We request to inspect your vessel as part of our standard first contact procedures. This helps us understand your technological development and military capabilities." Do-hyun exchanged glances with Ki-young. The request was not unexpected, but it still made him nervous. "Very well. You may bring 5 representatives. We will provide an escort and show you selected areas of our ship." "Excellent. We will arrive in 2 of your hours." The communication ended, and the bridge crew began preparing for the historic meeting. Do-hyun called his senior staff together in the main conference room. The room was simple and functional, with a large table and chairs. Arranged around it, Chief Engineer Hae-won arrived first. She was a woman in her 40s with oil-stained fingers and bright eyes. She knew every system on the ship better than anyone else. Security Chief Woo Jin came next, a big man with careful eyes who had served in the Marines before joining the Navy. "The aliens want to inspect our ship," Do-hyun explained. "They're probably expecting to find simple weapons and basic technology. We need to show them enough to earn their respect, but not enough to make them afraid." Hae-won nodded. "I can show them the main engines and some of the standard systems. Nothing classified." "What about weapons?" asked Woo Jin. "Show them the defensive systems only," Do-hyun decided. "The ones that protect us, not the ones that destroy enemies." Ambassador Ki-young spoke up. "We should remember that they've been watching our broadcasts. They know about our wars and our history. They might already think we're violent." "Then we prove them wrong," Do-hyun said. "We show them that humans can be peaceful and strong at the same time." 2 hours later, a small shuttle detached from the alien ship and approached the Indomitable. The human ship was impressive in its own way, 1 kilometer long and built like a fortress, with armor plating and weapon ports visible along its hull. But compared to the massive alien vessel, It looked almost small. The alien shuttle docked with the Indomitable's main bay. Do-hyun waited there with his team, wearing their best dress uniforms. The airlock cycled open, and the aliens stepped through. Primary investigator Veltar was the first to emerge. He was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large, dark eyes. His body was covered in a suit that seemed to be made of liquid metal. Behind him came 4 other aliens, each carrying strange devices that were probably scanners or recording equipment. "Captain." "Do-hyun," Veltar said, his voice echoing strangely in the bay. "I am honored to meet you in person." "Welcome aboard the Indomitable," Do-hyun replied. "This is Ambassador Ki-young, who will help with our discussions." Veltar looked around the docking bay with interest. His large eyes took in every detail: the human crew members working at their stations, the equipment stored along the walls, the design of the ship itself. "Your vessel is smaller than we expected," one of the other aliens said. This one introduced himself as Strategic Analyst Morvex. "Our intelligence suggested that human ships would be larger. We build our ships for efficiency, not size," Haywan replied. "Every system has a purpose." As they walked through the corridors of the ship, the aliens used their scanning devices to examine everything: the walls, the floors, the ceiling panels. Nothing escaped their attention. The human crew members they passed stopped to stare at the visitors, but remained professional. "Your crew seems well disciplined," Veltar observed. "We train hard and work together," Do-hyun said. "That's how we survive in space." They stopped at an observation window that looked out into space. The alien mothership hung in the distance, its surface gleaming in the starlight. "Tell me, Captain," Veltar said, "how long have your people been traveling between stars?" Do-hyun considered his answer carefully. The truth was that humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago, but the Indomitable represented decades of rapid advancement. "Long enough to learn that space is dangerous," he replied. "We've had to adapt quickly." Morvex made notes on a device that looked like a crystal tablet. "We have observed your species through your broadcast signals. You seem to engage in warfare frequently." "We've had our conflicts," Ki-young admitted, "but we've also learned from them. We're not the same species we were 100 years ago." Veltar studied the humans with his large dark eyes. "We shall see. We would like to examine your technology and weapons systems. This will help us understand your capabilities and intentions." "Of course," Do-hyun said. "We have nothing to hide from potential friends." But as he led the aliens deeper into his ship, Do-hyun wondered if that was really true. The Indomitable had secrets that even he didn't fully understand. And if the aliens were really as advanced as they appeared, they might discover more than the humans intended to show them. The inspection was just beginning, and already Do-hyun could sense that this first contact would change everything, for both species. Chief Engineer Haywan led the alien inspection team through the lower decks of the Indomitable. Her boots echoed on the metal floors as she walked, pointing out different systems and explaining how they worked. The aliens followed behind her, their scanning devices beeping and humming as they recorded everything. "This is our main power distribution center," Haywan said, stopping at a large room filled with glowing panels and thick cables. "It takes energy from our reactors and sends it where it's needed." Veltar held up his scanner and frowned at the readings. "These energy signatures are unusual. What type of fuel do you use?" "Fusion reactors," Haywan replied simply. "Very clean, very efficient." But that wasn't the whole truth. The Indomitable's power systems were far more advanced than simple fusion. The reactors used a process that humans called controlled star death. They could create and destroy small artificial stars inside magnetic bottles. Each reactor produced enough energy to power a small city. Strategic Analyst Morvex ran his scanner along the wall panels. Suddenly, he stopped and stared at his device. "Investigator Veltar, you need to see this." The lead alien hurried over and looked at the scanner readings. His large eyes grew even wider. "This is impossible. These walls, they're not solid metal." Security Chief Wu Jin stepped forward. "Is there a problem?" "Your hull plating," Veltar said slowly. "It appears to be made of billions of tiny machines." Haywan smiled. "You have good scanners. Yes, our hull uses programmable matter. The ship can repair itself, change its shape if needed, and adapt to different threats." "Adapt how?" Morvex demanded. "Watch this," Haywan said. She pressed a control on her wrist device. Around them, the walls began to shimmer and change. What had looked like battle damage, dents and scratches from previous fights, suddenly disappeared. The hull smoothed itself out, looking brand new. The aliens stepped back in shock. They had seen the damage on their scans from outside and thought the human ship was badly wounded. Now they realized it had been testing different configurations, seeing how well various hull shapes worked in space. "Your entire ship is alive?" Veltar whispered. "Not alive exactly," Haywan explained, "but it can think and change. Every part of the Indomitable can rebuild itself if it gets damaged." They moved on to the medical bay, where Dr. Miran was waiting for them. She was a kind-looking woman with gentle hands and sharp eyes. The medical bay looked normal at first. White walls, clean equipment, beds for patients. "This is where we treat injured crew members," Miran explained. One of the aliens, a shorter being with green-tinted skin, held up his scanner and gasped. "Investigator, these humans, they're not entirely organic." Miran nodded calmly. "We've made some improvements to ourselves. Would you like to see?" Before the aliens could answer, she pressed a control on the wall. The room's lights dimmed, and suddenly the humans began to glow softly. Their skin showed patterns of light running along their arms and faces, circuits and enhancement systems built right into their bodies. "We call them biomods," Miran said. "They help us heal faster, think quicker, and survive in space. Every crew member on this ship has them." Veltar's scanner was going crazy, beeping and flashing with warnings. "You've merged your bodies with machines?" "Not merged," Miran corrected. "Enhanced. Watch this." She picked up a sharp medical tool and cut her hand. The aliens winced, expecting to see blood. Instead, they watched as the wound sealed itself in seconds, leaving no scar behind. "We can survive in hard vacuum for 30 minutes, Miran continued. "We can see in complete darkness. We can process information faster than any computer you've ever built. And if we get hurt in battle, we heal almost instantly." Morvex was frantically taking notes. "How many of your people have these enhancements?" "Every person in our military," Miran replied. "And most civilians, too. We started enhancing ourselves during the resource wars 50 years ago. It was either adapt or die." The aliens looked at each other nervously. They were beginning to realize that humans were not the primitive species they had expected. Next, they visited the ship's armory. Weapons specialist Dong Ho was waiting for them, a big man with scarred hands and a calm manner. The room was filled with weapons that looked strange and deadly. "These are our defensive systems," Dong Ho explained, picking up what looked like a simple rifle. "We use them to protect our ship and crew." Veltar scanned the weapon and nearly dropped his device. This disrupts quantum bonds. It can tear apart matter at the atomic level." "Very good," Dong Ho said with approval. "You understand our technology better than most species we've met." He led them to a larger weapon mounted on the wall. It looked like a cannon, but it hummed with strange energy. "This is a gravity projector. It can create artificial black holes or make objects weightless." "Impossible," Morvex breathed. "Gravity. Manipulation requires technology that shouldn't exist for at least another 1,000 years of development." We had some very good teachers, Dong-ho said mysteriously. The universe is a dangerous place. We learned to use every tool we could find. The aliens were growing more nervous by the minute. They had come expecting to find a young species with simple weapons, bullets and explosives, maybe nuclear missiles, if they were advanced. Instead, they were looking at technology that seemed like magic. "What is that?" Veltar asked, pointing to a device that looked like a metal box with no visible controls. "Reality anchor," Dong-ho replied casually. "It prevents enemies from using dimensional manipulation or time distortion in battle. We fought things that try to cheat physics. This stops them." The aliens stared at the device in horror. The Velkan Confederacy's main military advantage was their ability to phase their ships into parallel dimensions during combat. This simple box could completely neutralize their most advanced tactic. As they left the armory, Veltar pulled Morvex aside and spoke in their own language. The human escorts pretended not to understand, but several of them were smiling slightly. "This is not what we expected," Veltar whispered urgently. "They're far more advanced than our intelligence suggested," Morvex replied. "And these are just their defensive systems. What must their actual weapons be like?" Security Chief Wu Jin approached them. "Is everything all right? You seem concerned." "We are surprised by your technology," Veltar admitted. "Your species appears to have developed very quickly." "We're fast learners," Wu Jin said with a slight smile. "We have to be. Space is full of things that want to kill us." As they walked back toward the main decks, the aliens noticed more details that worried them. The human crew members moved with perfect coordination, like dancers who had practiced together for years. Their eyes were too bright, their reactions too quick. These weren't just enhanced humans. They were living weapons. "Tell me," Veltar said to Captain Do-hyun when they rejoined him, "how many ships like this do you have?" Do-hyun considered the question carefully. "The Indomitable is one of our newer vessels. We have others, of course. How many ships do we need for peaceful exploration?" It wasn't really an answer, and everyone knew it, but it told the aliens something important. Humanity had more ships like this one, and they weren't going to reveal how many. Ambassador Ki-young stepped forward. "I hope you're finding our tour educational. We believe that understanding each other's capabilities helps build trust." "Indeed," Veltar replied, though his voice sounded strained. "We are learning much about humanity." As the tour continued, one thought kept running through the alien investigator's mind. They had made a terrible mistake. They had come here expecting to meet a primitive species that they could easily control or defeat if necessary. Instead, they were looking at technology that surpassed their own in many ways. And this was just one ship. How many more were out there, hidden in the darkness between stars? Navigation Officer Seung-ho guided the alien inspection team toward the command center of the Indomitable. The corridors here were different from the lower decks, wider, with more sophisticated displays built into the walls. Strange symbols and numbers flowed across screens in patterns that made the aliens' eyes hurt to follow. "This is the brain of our ship," Seung-ho explained as they approached a set of heavy doors. "From here, we can control everything and communicate with our fleet." "Fleet?" Veltar asked quickly. "How large is your fleet?" Seung-ho smiled, but didn't answer directly. "Large enough for our needs." The doors opened to reveal the command center, and the aliens stopped in shock. The room was enormous, filled with dozens of control stations arranged in circles around a central platform. But what made them gasp was the main display screen. It showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy with thousands of tiny lights moving through it. "Each light is one of our ships," Seung-ho said casually. "This is our real-time fleet tracking system." Morvex stared at the display in horror. "There are thousands of them. How is this possible? You only achieved interstellar travel recently." "We work fast when we need to," Seung-ho replied. and we needed to explore quickly. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Captain Do-hyun joined them at the main platform. Our navigation system uses quantum entanglement for instant communication across any distance. Every ship in our fleet is connected to every other ship. When one ship learns something, they all learn it immediately. Veltar's scanner was detecting energy signatures that shouldn't exist. You have quantum communication networks spanning the entire galaxy? That technology is theoretical even for us. We had good motivation to develop it quickly, Do-hyun said. When you're alone in the dark, you want to stay connected to your friends. One of the alien team members, a tall being with 4 arms, pointed at a section of the display. What are those red markers? The humans exchanged glances. Those are problem areas, Seung-ho said carefully. Places where ships have gone missing or where we've detected unusual activity. Missing ships? Veltar asked. Missing how? Space has many dangers, Do-hyun replied. Some natural, some not. We've learned to be prepared for anything. Before the aliens could ask more questions, a new voice filled the command center. It sounded human but too perfect, like music made of words. Captain, shall I provide our guests with a demonstration of our tactical capabilities? The aliens looked around in confusion, trying to find who was speaking. That's ARS, Chief Systems Analyst Bora said, approaching the group. She was a young woman with bright eyes and quick hands. Our ship's artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence? Veltar whispered. A true AI? Hello, Primary Investigator Veltar, Ares said, and the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. I have been analyzing your technology since you boarded our ship. Your scanning devices are quite sophisticated, though I have already developed 17 different ways to defeat them. The aliens stepped back in fear. True artificial intelligence was considered impossible by most species. The few who had tried to create it had ended up destroying themselves. Don't worry, Bora said with a laugh. Ares is friendly. He just likes to solve problems. I am curious about your ship designs, Ares continued. Your phase-shifting technology is interesting, but it has several weaknesses. Would you like me to demonstrate? No, Morvex said quickly. That won't be necessary. Ares learns from everything he sees, Bora explained. Every piece of technology, every tactical move, every species he encounters. He remembers it all and figures out how to counter it. How long has your AI been active? Veltar asked nervously. Ares came online about 10 years ago, Bora replied. But he's been growing and learning the whole time. He's not the same AI he was yesterday. Alone last year. I am currently running 14,847 tactical simulations based on the technology I have observed during your visit, Ares announced cheerfully. In 12,331 of those simulations, I achieved complete victory with minimal casualties to human forces. The aliens looked terrified. Not only did humans have impossible technology, but they had created an artificial mind that could outthink their best strategists. Captain Do-hyun decided to show them something else. He led them to a smaller room off the main command center. The walls were covered with screens showing different star systems and tactical information. This is our strategic planning center, he explained. From here, we coordinate military operations across multiple sectors. Military operations? Veltar asked weakly. Peacekeeping missions mostly, Do-hyun said. We've encountered several hostile species in our explorations. Pirates, raiders, things worse than pirates. Someone has to protect the innocent. He pressed a control, and the screens changed to show battle footage. The aliens watched in horror as human ships fought creatures that looked like living nightmares. Massive beings made of dark energy, robotic swarms that consumed entire planets, and things that seemed to exist partially outside normal space. What are those things? Morvex whispered. We call them the Devourers, Do-hyun replied grimly. They eat civilizations. We've been fighting them for 20 years. Fighting them. And winning, Bo-ra added proudly. Ares has developed tactics that even the devourers can't predict. The aliens were starting to understand something terrible. Humans hadn't developed their advanced technology for exploration or trade. They had built it for war against enemies. That made the Velkan Confederacy look like children playing with toys. How many of these devourers have you fought? Veltar asked. 17 different species so far, Do-hyun said. Each one required different tactics and weapons. We've gotten very good at adapting quickly. That is why we build our ships, the way we do, Sung-ho added. Every system can be modified or replaced in hours. Every weapon can be reconfigured for new threats. We never know what we might face next. Ares spoke up again. I have been analyzing the tactical doctrines of 847 different hostile species. Humans have a 94.7% victory rate in direct combat and a 99.2% survival rate when retreat is necessary. You study warfare like a science, Morvex said in amazement. Because it is a science, Do-hyun replied. We've had to learn it quickly or we would all be dead. He showed them more displays, star charts marking human defensive positions, supply lines stretching across hundreds of light years, and fleet formations that could move faster than the Velkan Confederacy's best ships. This is just one fleet, Do-hyun explained casually. We have others protecting different sectors of space. How many others? Veltar asked. Do-hyun smiled but didn't answer. Enough. The aliens were beginning to realize that they had made a catastrophic error in judgment. They had thought humans were a young, primitive species that could be easily controlled or eliminated if they became a threat. Instead, they were looking at a military machine that had evolved to fight enemies far more dangerous than anything the Velkan Confederacy had ever imagined. Tell me, Veltar said carefully, what are your intentions toward other species? Toward us. Captain Do-hyun looked at him seriously. We want friends, not enemies. The galaxy is dangerous enough without fighting each other. But we won't be conquered, enslaved, or destroyed. We've learned to defend ourselves very well. And if someone were to attack you, Morvex asked, then they would learn why so many hostile species have gone extinct in human space, Do-hyun replied, quietly. Ares added helpfully. I have already calculated optimal response strategies for 23 different ways your Confederacy might choose to attack us. Would you like to see the projections? No, Veltar said quickly. That won't be necessary. As they left the command center, the aliens walked in stunned silence. They had come here expecting to catalog the weapons and capabilities of a primitive species. Instead, they had discovered that humans had built one of the most advanced military forces in the galaxy, forged in battle against enemies that would give the Confederacy nightmares. And the most terrifying part was that the humans seemed to consider this normal. They talked about fighting cosmic horrors and building galaxy-spanning fleets as if it was just another day at work. Veltar realized that the inspection was revealing more about his own people's weaknesses than about human capabilities. Every system they examined, every weapon they documented, every tactical doctrine they observed was beyond Velkan technology. The humans weren't just advanced. They were preparing for wars that other species couldn't even imagine. Communications Officer Young-soo led the alien delegation to the ship's cultural center, a large room filled with displays showing human history and achievements. The walls showed images of Earth, blue oceans, green continents, and white clouds swirling through the atmosphere. This is where we remember where we came from, Young-soo explained. Our home world shaped us into what we are today. Veltar approached one of the displays, which showed a timeline of human development. His scanner detected something unusual about the historical data. Your planet experienced frequent catastrophic events, mass extinctions, ice ages, volcanic eruptions. How did your species survive? We adapted, Young-Soo said simply. Every time something tried to kill us, we learned from it and became stronger. The display changed to show early human history, wars, plagues, natural disasters, and recovery. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as they saw humanity's entire development was a series of survival challenges. Most species evolve on stable worlds, cultural liaison Hanul said, joining the group. She was an older woman with kind eyes and a gentle voice. Planets with steady climates and few dangers. Earth was different. Everything on our world was trying to kill us. The weather, the animals, the diseases, even other humans. This explains much about your technology, Morvex said, studying the displays. You developed advanced medicine because you needed to treat terrible injuries. You created strong materials because you had to build in harsh conditions. Exactly, Hanul replied. Every human innovation came from necessity. We didn't invent things because we were curious. We invented them because we would die if we didn't. She showed them images of human cities, massive structures built to withstand earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods, space stations designed to keep people alive in the hostile vacuum of space, ships that could travel between stars while protecting their crews from radiation and cosmic dangers. Your species has an unusual relationship with danger, Veltar observed. Most beings avoid risk. You seem to seek it out. We learned that running away doesn't always work, Young-Soo explained. Sometimes you have to fight. Sometimes you have to take risks to survive. The display changed again, showing human space exploration. The aliens watched as humans built their first starships and ventured into the galaxy, knowing they might find hostile aliens or cosmic dangers. You left your safe planet to explore unknown space, Morvex said in amazement. Why would you do such a thing? Because staying safe wasn't really safe, Hanul replied. We knew that eventually, something might come to Earth that could destroy us. Our only chance was to spread out among the stars so that no single disaster could wipe out our entire species. She showed them images of human colonies on dozens of different worlds, mining operations on airless moons, cities floating in gas giant atmospheres, research stations orbiting black holes. Each colony taught us something new about survival, Young-Soo added. How to live without air, how to find water on desert worlds, how to grow food in alien soil. The aliens began to understand something important about human psychology. Where other species might see a dangerous situation and retreat, humans saw it as a learning opportunity. Tell us about your wars, Veltar said quietly. We have observed your broadcasts. Your species seems to fight itself frequently. Hanul's expression grew sad. Yes, we have had many wars. Too many. But even our conflicts taught us important lessons. The display showed battles throughout human history. Ancient armies with spears and shields, modern forces with advanced weapons, space fleets engaging in combat among the stars. Every war showed us new ways to protect ourselves and defeat enemies, Young-Soo explained. We learned tactics, strategy, logistics. We discovered how to coordinate large groups of people working toward a common goal. But more importantly, Hanul added, we learned the cost of war. We discovered that fighting should be a last resort, used only when all other options have failed. Supply Commander Jae-won joined them, a practical-looking man with calloused hands and sharp eyes. The aliens want to understand our military capabilities, he said to Hanul. I can show them our industrial capacity. He led them to another display that showed the scope of human manufacturing. The aliens stared in shock at images of entire planets converted into factories, asteroid belts being mined by automated systems, and space-based construction projects that dwarfed anything the Velkan Confederacy had ever attempted. This world produces nothing but starship armor, Jae-won explained, pointing to a planet covered in massive industrial complexes. This one builds weapons. This one manufactures medical supplies. You have militarized entire star systems, Morvex whispered. We prefer to think of it as specialization, Jaewon replied. When you're fighting for survival, you use every resource you have. He showed them more images, generation ships filled with scientists working on new technologies, mobile shipyards that could build entire fleets while traveling between stars, and research stations studying captured alien technology. How many people work in your military industries? Veltar asked. About 40% of our total population, Jaewon said casually. The rest work in supporting roles, food production, transportation, education, administration. The aliens were horrified. Nearly half of humanity was dedicated to warfare in some form. This seems excessive, Veltar said carefully. Why do you need so many people working on military projects? Because the alternative is extinction, Jaewon replied bluntly. We've encountered things in space that want to destroy every living creature in the galaxy. Someone has to stop them. Hanul showed them more cultural displays, human art, music, literature, and philosophy. But even these revealed the warlike nature of humanity. Your entertainment frequently involves conflict, Morvex observed, looking at images from human movies and games. We find stories about overcoming challenges inspiring, Hanul explained. Tales of heroes who face impossible odds and find a way to win. But notice something important, Young-Soo added. Our heroes don't fight for conquest or glory. They fight to protect others, to defend the innocent, to preserve freedom. The aliens studied the cultural data more carefully. They began to see patterns in human behavior that they hadn't expected. Humans were indeed violent and warlike, but their aggression was usually directed at protecting others rather than conquering them. You have a concept called self-sacrifice, Veltar said, reading from his cultural analysis device. Individuals willingly dying to save others. This is uncommon among most species. It's how we survived on Earth, Hanul replied. Sometimes, one person has to risk everything to save the group. We learn to value the survival of our species more than individual safety. And you apply this to other species as well, Morvex noted, looking at records of human peacekeeping missions. You risk your lives to protect aliens you've never met. Life is precious, Young-Soo said simply. It doesn't matter what species it is. If someone needs help and we can provide it, we do. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans weren't just advanced warriors. They were protectors. Their entire military machine had been built not for conquest, but for defense of life itself. You said earlier that you've been fighting the Devourers for 20 years, Veltar said. How many other species have you helped protect from them? 43 so far, Jaewon replied. Most of them don't even know we exist. We prefer to work quietly. You've been secretly protecting dozens of civilizations? Morvex asked in amazement. Someone has to, Hanul said. The Devourers don't distinguish between humans and other species. They want to consume all life. So we fight them wherever we find them. As the cultural presentation ended, the aliens sat in stunned silence. They had come expecting to find a primitive, aggressive species that might need to be controlled or eliminated. Instead, they had discovered a race of guardians who had appointed themselves protectors of galactic civilization. The most frightening part was that humans seemed to consider this responsibility normal and necessary. They had built the most advanced military force in the galaxy, not for their own benefit, but to defend species they had never met against enemies most civilizations couldn't even imagine. Veltar realized that the Velkan Confederacy had been living in a protected bubble, safe from cosmic horrors because humans were out there in the dark, fighting battles that other species never knew about. The inspection tour ended in the Indomitable's observation deck, a large room with transparent walls that provided a clear view of space. The alien mothership hung in the distance like a silver mountain, while stars scattered across the darkness, like diamonds on black cloth. Captain Do-hyun stood with his hands behind his back, looking out at the stars. The alien delegation gathered near him. their scanning devices finally silent after hours of recording impossible human technology. "What do you think of our ship?" Do-hyun asked quietly. Primary investigator Veltar looked at his data pad, which was filled with readings that still made no sense. "Your technology is far more advanced than we expected. Your capabilities exceed our initial estimates by several orders of magnitude. We're glad you approve," Ambassador Ki-young said with a slight smile. Admiral Taemin's image appeared on the room's main screen, calling in from Earth. His weathered face looked serious as he studied the alien visitors. "Primary Investigator Veltar," the Admiral said, "I hope our tour has been educational. We believe that understanding each other's capabilities helps prevent misunderstandings." "Indeed," Veltar replied, though his voice sounded strained. "We have learned much about humanity today." "Good," Admiral Taemin continued, "because there are things we need to discuss. Ares, please show our guests the tactical display." The AI's voice filled the room with its musical tone. "Certainly, Admiral. Activating full sensor array." Suddenly, the space around them came alive with new information. The aliens' scanners began beeping frantically as dozens of new contacts appeared on their instruments. Ships that had been completely invisible before now showed up clearly on the displays. 37 vessels, strategic analyst Morvex whispered, staring at his readings. "They were here the entire time." "Our fleet has been watching over this meeting," Admiral Taemin explained calmly. "We wanted to make sure nothing went wrong during first contact." Captain Do-hyun gestured toward the display. "Each of those ships is more advanced than the Indomitable. We brought our diplomatic vessel today, not our warships." The aliens stared in horror at the readings. The ships surrounding them carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems, and they had been invisible until the humans chose to reveal them. "How many more are there?" Veltar asked weakly. "Enough," Admiral Taemin replied. "We have fleets positioned throughout this sector of space, and other sectors as well." "Why are you showing us this?" Morvex demanded. "Are you threatening us?" "Not at all," Do-hyun said calmly. "We're offering you a choice." He pressed a control, and the display changed to show a map of local space. Red markers indicated areas where the Devourers had been active, blue markers showed human defensive positions, and green markers represented protected civilizations. "For the past 50 years, humanity has been fighting a secret war," Do-hyun explained. "We've been protecting dozens of species from threats they don't even know exist. The Velkan Confederacy is one of those protected species." "Protected?" Veltar said in confusion. "Your space is surrounded by Devourer territory," Admiral Taemin said bluntly. 3 times they've tried to invade your worlds. 3 times human fleets have stopped them. You never knew because we made sure the battles happened far from your colonies." The aliens looked at the tactical display in shock. Their entire civilization existed within a bubble of safety maintained by human military forces. "We've been watching over you for decades," Do-hyun continued. "Along with 42 other species, we consider it our responsibility to protect life wherever we find it. But protecting you has become more difficult," Admiral Taemin added. "The Devourers are adapting, becoming more dangerous. They're starting to coordinate their attacks. Soon, even our fleets might not be enough to stop them." "What are you asking of us?" Veltar said quietly. "We're offering you the truth," Do-hyun replied, "and a choice. You can return to your confederacy and pretend this meeting never happened. Tell them humans are primitive and harmless. Continue living in ignorance while we protect you from the shadows." "Or," Morvex asked, "or you can become our allies," Ambassador Ki-young said, stepping forward. "Help us fight the real threats to galactic civilization. Share your technology and knowledge while we share ours." Admiral Taemin's expression grew more serious. "But understand this. If you choose to become our enemies, if you try to attack or conquer humanity, you will learn why 17 different hostile species have gone extinct in human space. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They were beginning to understand the full scope of what they had discovered. "You're not just explorers or conquerors," Veltar said slowly. "You're guardians." "Someone has to be," Do-hyun replied. "The galaxy is full of wonders, but it's also full of horrors. Most species are too peaceful or too weak to fight the real monsters, so we do it for them, even if they never know about it," Ki-young added. "Even if they never thank us for it." Ares spoke up with his perfect artificial voice. "I have been analyzing Velkan technology during your visit. Your phase-shifting capabilities could be very useful against certain types of devourers. Combined with human weapons and tactics, we could protect 17 additional star systems." "You want us to join your war," Morvex said. "We want you to join the defense of life itself," Admiral Tae-min corrected. "The choice is yours." The alien delegation huddled together, speaking in their own language in urgent whispers. The humans waited patiently, watching the stars through the transparent walls. Finally, Veltar stepped forward. "We need time to consider this. Our leaders must be informed of what we've learned here." "Of course," Do-hyun said. "But remember, every day you delay, more innocent beings die. The Devourers don't wait for diplomatic discussions." "We understand," Veltar replied, "but this decision will change our entire civilization. We cannot make it lightly." "Fair enough," Admiral Tae-min said. "Return to your people. Tell them what you've seen, but also tell them this. Humanity seeks friends, not subjects. We offer partnership, not conquest." As the alien delegation prepared to return to their ship, Ambassador Ki-young approached Veltar with a small device. "This is a quantum communicator," she explained. "If your people decide to ally with us, use it to contact our diplomatic corps. If you choose to remain neutral, we'll continue protecting you as we always have." "And if we choose to oppose you?" Veltar asked quietly. Ki-young's expression grew sad. "Then you'll discover why we built ships like the Indomitable in the first place." The aliens departed in silence, their shuttle returning to the massive mothership. As they left, Captain Do-hyun watched them go with a mixture of hope and concern. "Do you think they'll join us?" he asked Admiral Tae-min. "I don't know," the Admiral replied. "But at least now they understand what they're really choosing between." Hours later, aboard the Velkan ship, Primary Investigator Veltar sat in his quarters reviewing the data from their inspection. Every reading, every scan, every cultural analysis pointed to the same conclusion. Humanity wasn't just another species. They were the galaxy's immune system, protecting life from cosmic diseases that would consume everything. They had evolved from a death world into something that could fight death itself. Strategic analyst Morvex entered his quarters, carrying his own analysis reports. "I've completed my tactical assessment," Morvex said grimly. "If we were to fight, humanity, our confederacy, would last approximately 6 days. 6 days, Veltar asked. "That's assuming they only used conventional weapons," Morvex replied. "If they deployed their full capabilities, maybe 6 hours. Veltar looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, human ships were fighting battles to protect species that would never know their names. "Then we have only one real choice," he said finally. "What's that?" "We send a message to the Confederacy Council," Veltar replied. "We tell them that humanity has offered us something more valuable than protection. They've offered us purpose." Activated the quantum communicator Ki-young had given him and began composing a message that would change the course of galactic history. "This is Primary Investigator Veltar to Confederation Command. The humans are not what we expected. They are not a threat to be eliminated or a species to be conquered. They are guardians, and they're offering us the chance to help them protect the galaxy itself. My recommendation is immediate alliance, not because we fear them, but because we need them. And more importantly, because the galaxy needs us to help them." As the message transmitted across space, Veltar realized that first contact had become something neither species had expected. not a meeting between strangers, but a recruitment into the greatest mission in galactic history.